remember, you are going to do your own copy, and you are going to put that copy in your algebra folder, okay? Right, and you can see, well, the bottom one you can't hardly see because of my face, but it basically says the function has 1, 0. Then it says, let's see, the top one says the axis of symmetry is y equals 8. Well, what is the axis of symmetry? Where is the axis of symmetry? It goes right down the center here, okay? Right down the middle of that curve. And so if I'm looking at the axis of symmetry, it should tell us where it is on the line, right? Now, if I'm looking at this, it says y equals 8. Now, there is a point at y equals 8, but what's wrong with that? Why is it not y equals 8? Because it's supposed to be on the x-axis. Remember, we're looking at our x-axis to see where that line of symmetry is, that axis of symmetry. We're not looking at the y-axis. So y equals 8, even though it is a point there, it's not our axis of symmetry, and so that's not going to work. So that can't be it. Okay, so we're still on the lookout. We're going to check all of them. The y-intercept of the graph is 0, 8. Well, we did say there was a point at 8. So if we look at our graph here and we go up, we can see that there is a point at 8. So could this be one of our 3 correct answers? Yeah, absolutely. Because we have a point at 0, 8. So is that where it crosses on the y-intercept? Yes, so that is a correct answer. Let's keep looking. The maximum of the function is 8. Remember, the maximum is where it's our highest point, our top point. So would this be a minimum or a maximum on this graph? It would be a maximum, right? Because it goes like this. Now, if it went this way, it'd be a minimum. But we're going this way where our arrows are pointing down, so the top of our graph is high, and that is a maximum. But is the maximum at 8? Well, take a look at that graph right there. Look at that very top point. Is it at 8? It is. So you now have 2 correct answers. You need 1 more. This next one says the zeros of the function are at -4 and 4. Remember, zeros are where it crosses on the x-axis. So remember, your x is your horizontal. Look at where the lines go through on that x-axis. Does it cross at -4? It does. Does it cross at 4? It does. So does this count as one of our correct answers? Absolutely. Now, you found your 3 correct answers, so you don't technically have to keep going, but we could double check, right? The minimum, well, we already said there's not a minimum. The graph would have to be going in the other direction for there to be a minimum, so that's not going to work. The function has 1, 0. Well, you already told me that a 0 is -4 and another 0 is 4. So how many zeros is that? 2, right? So it has to have more than 1, so that also can't be an answer. All right, we're going to move on from our warm-up, and we're going to keep moving. Now, this part right here in your notes is just giving you what is on your star chart and what you'll have when you take the star, right? It's going to give you your equations that you need, and so we can always come back to this if we need to. So let's go ahead and take a look, and I'm going to post your star chart into our WAG this week. And so please, if you want to print that out, or if you just want to keep a picture of it up on the side or keep clicking back to it, it is very, very helpful. All right, so example 1, write the function in vertex form of the quadratic graph below. Look on the star chart and write the vertex form. So again, we're going to go back to that star chart. Sorry, not that one. We're going to go back to your star chart. So again, hopefully you have your star chart up, and I'll show it to you and I'll put it in your WAG. And you are going to write the vertex form. Well, the vertex form has h and k. So we're going to find h and k. Well, how do we find h and k? We find it with the vertex. Remember, the vertex is the topmost point or the lowest point, right? The very tip of that curve is your vertex. And right now our vertex is at 1, -4, because we go right 1 and down 4. So your h and your k are 1 and -4. Okay, so it's important. We're going to write that down. We're going to keep it there. We're going to keep going. It's giving us steps, right? So we're going to keep on moving. identify X and Y from any given point. That means you can pick any point on that line. You can choose whatever you want. Right here, we're going to pick this one, and if you can see, we have gone right 4 and up 5. So your X and your Y, remember, because if your horizontal is your X and I went right 4, my X is going to be 4 and my Y is going to be 5, right? So boom, you've got that on there, okay? Now you're going to plug that into the vertex form. Remember, I'm never going to expect you to memorize the vertex form. It is going to be on your star chart. You do not have to try to keep that in your head for memory. And you are going to plug in everything you just found out. Well, you have H and K, you have X and Y, you have everything you need to solve this problem now. So let's go ahead and put it in vertex form. As you see, we got rid of the graph here, and we're going to go ahead and we are going to take a look at vertex form, which is A parentheses X minus H squared plus K. So let's start plugging it in. We don't have A yet, right? But we do have our Y, which is our f of X, right? When you see f of X, that really means our Y, and that's 5. So we're going to go ahead and write that down. We don't have A yet, so A is going to just stay A. Then in parentheses, you have your X. What is your X? 4. Minus H, well, what's your H? 1. And then you can't forget that squared, doesn't go anywhere. And then K, did we have a K? -4. And now you can solve just like how we always solve, right? First thing you're going to do is parentheses. You can think of PEMDAS, right? First, we're going to look at the parentheses. And so we're going to go ahead and do 4 minus 1. Well, what is 4 minus 1? 3. Right? So now we have 5 equals A, parentheses 3 squared, minus 4. What would be our next step? What do you think we're going to do next? Are we finished? We're going to solve in the parentheses still, right? So 3 squared would be 9. As you can see, we switched the 9 and the A because, let me use a different color. We switched them. But does it mean the exact same thing? It does. It means the same thing. You are still doing A times 3 squared. This is the same thing, 9 times A. They will get you the same answer. Now we're not done yet because is A completely alone? A is not completely alone, so let's keep moving. Next step is we are going to take a look. Oh, sorry. I gotta turn my pen off. So sorry. We're gonna take a look at what we're supposed to do next here. And we need to now get A by itself. So that's when we're going to create, I've talked to some of you in person about those crossroads, right? We're going to put those on that equal sign. We're going to create a line there that's going to separate our two sides because now we're trying to get A by itself. We're going to get rid of that friend off to the side. Remember, it's easier to get rid of the friend off to the side than it is the person they're attached to. So to get rid of it, we have to do the opposite operation. Well, the opposite of subtracting 4 is adding 4. So I'm going to add 4 to each side. This leaves me with 9 is equal to 9A. Now, is A alone yet? Not yet. So we're going to have to get rid of that 9 by dividing it out, because if it's being multiplied, then now we have to divide it. So 9 divided by 9 would give you 1. So A is 1, okay? And now you are going to write that back into the vertex form, which is on your star chart. So we have f of x equals x minus 1 squared minus 4, okay? And then you can check yourself in Desmos. You can put this into Desmos and see if it matches our original graph, okay? And then you can convert it into standard form. And let me erase my stuff here, okay? And you can get rid of that. Let's see, there's got to be a, okay. And you can make sure that that graph looks the same. And it does. If you were to put this into Desmos, it shows you this, and it even shows you that we're at 1, down 4, so 1, negative 4. It has a point at 4, 5, okay, sorry, 4, 5, and everything matches up. All right, now this next graph is a little bit different because we're doing factored form function. Factored form function looks different, but again, it's not something that you have to memorize. It's going to be on that star chart for you. And it is going to be f of x is equal to a, parentheses x minus r1, parentheses x minus r2. That's not squared, that's 2. If you're on the bottom, it's just 2. Identify the zeros from the graph. Well, remember r is the roots, right? And roots and zeros can often be, right? Now, if you're looking here, I don't know if that's doing anything at all, but -4, we have a point through -4, we have a point through 8, right? So those are your zeros, -4 and 8. So when it says plug in the roots for P and Q, you're going to use -4 and 8. Select a point from the graph that is not a 0. When it says not a 0, it's saying don't choose something on this x-axis, right? The easiest thing to do is to choose on the y-axis, right? Why is it best to choose on the y-axis? What makes that so easy for us? It's because your x is 0, right? So when we plug in here in a second, your math that you're going to do is so much simpler on you, right? Work smarter, not harder. If it's easier for you to do it a certain way and still get the right answer, that is what I want you to do, right? I want you to be able to solve this. I don't want you to have to be, working on the same problem for an hour. So we're going to choose 0, 8 because it's on our graph. As you can see, it's touching the graph. It's touching our line, and it has a x for a 0, and it's not a 0, right? So now we're going to plug everything in. We're going to plug in x and y. So we're going to take it, and again, we've moved our graph out so we can start solving. You're going to plug it into that formula that we already put up at the top there, that we stole from the star chart. F of x is equal to a equals, parentheses x plus 4, parentheses x minus 8, right? Because those are our zeros. So we plug those in. Next, what are we going to do? What is our f of x? It's our y, and our y is 8, okay, because you found that on your graph, is equal to a. We haven't found a yet. We are going to have to do that by solving. What is our x? 0, right? See how easy that math is going to be for you, because you know exactly 0 plus 4 is, right? It's easy, easy peasy. 0 minus 8. And now we're going to start solving. Well, remember, think of PEMDAS. We're going to solve inside those parentheses first. You already told me 0 plus 4 is 4. 0 minus 8 is -8. Now what do you think our next step is? I have 2 sets of parentheses there. When I see a parentheses against a parentheses, what is happening to them? They are being multiplied, right? So 4 times -8 is -32. Now again, I put that number in front of the a, but it means the exact same thing, okay? So now I have 8 is equal to -32a. Can I stop here? I can't. I got to keep going. A is not alone yet. There is no friend off to the side, so what's my step? What am I going to do with that -32? How do I get rid of it? Remember, if I see a number attached to a letter like that, it means it's being multiplied. The opposite of multiply is divide. Now, we're going to divide here, okay? So -32 divided by -32. But 8 divided by -32 is a little bit different, right? Can you do that in your head? It's going to be kind of hard. You probably could. But what else could you do? You could use Desmos, right? And you get -1/4. So A is -1/4. Okay? Now, it says write your final answer in factored form. Well, I gave you the factored form at the top. You have your x, you have your y, you have your roots, you have your a, you have everything you need. So we're going to go ahead and fill it back in. So you're going to say that f of x is equal to a that you just found, -1/4, x plus 4, x minus 8. And that's it. You're done. That is factored form function. And you can put that into Desmos to make sure that it looks just like this graph here. And if I do, it is going to look just like that. As you can see, we have a 0 at -4. We have a 0 at 8. We have a point at 0.8. We have a point, or a maximum, right here. So we have everything we need, and we are finished. Remember, we did all of these notes together, but I still want you to have your own copy in your notes, because when we have this on a test, I want you to be able to look back at these